The worst name from those you can say without being bleeped, you can call a person in the 21st century is an extremist. According to a dictionary, an extremist is an adherent of extreme views. But which views are extreme? This is a completely subjective term. In China, a person who doesn't want to eat insects might be considered a person with extreme views. And in the old city of Jerusalem, in Mea Shearim, a Jew who's driving on Shabbat. So no one really knows what this name means, but in generally, we call an extremist a person who is stuck on an idea, considers it above all, and does not agree to compromise. The belief is that it is always better to take into account as many different views as possible. This allows me to have a more sophisticated, more comprehensive approach. The belief is that it is always better to find a balance between different ideas. In theory, it looks beautiful. But in practice, I suggest the following experiment. Ask your friend if he considers himself an extremist. Very few people call that themselves. For the most part, people, whatever their views are, call themselves somewhat centrists. And obviously, all those to the right of me are right wing extremists, and all those to the left of me are left wing extremists. So, chances are that this friend of yours will not say that he is an extremist. Now, ask him if he thinks it is okay to murder innocent people. No, never. Maybe a little. Ask him if he is willing to compromise. I hope he'll say no. Ooh, this friend of yours is an extremist. He's stuck on an idea and does not want to compromise. Is it okay to rape? Never. How about a little? Is he ready to consider a more comprehensive approach in this area? No. Extremist! So it turns out that being an extremist is not always a bad thing. So when is it good to be an extremist and when is it not? Some would call people like me extremists. In my life, everything is governed by my religion. I live a completely religious life and I try to observe every tenet of Judaism. This is an extreme. I need to have a more balanced approach to my life. Ah, I get it. Your principles cannot be compromised. If you live according to your ideas, you don't need to look for a balance. And if I live to ideas you agree with, I don't need to look for a balance. But as for my principles that you don't adhere to, I cannot be an extremist. I need to look for a balance. Every person believes that his convictions must be lived to the fullest. But when it comes to someone else's convictions, he should have a more comprehensive, balanced approach. But you know what? Also, not always. If you follow an ideology X and someone demonstrates how this ideology makes its adherents do bad things, you know what you'll say? Well, these are extremists, but I'm a moderate. Any ideology in reality can be justified by saying that its every negative manifestation is extremism. But in reality, if an ideology is bad in its extremist manifestations, it is also bad in small dose. Diluted poison remains poison. And you know what? When it's mixed with good food, it can even be more dangerous because it is less noticeable. The saying, everything is good in moderation, has become an excuse for the most inhumane beliefs. Judaism is my worldview and my life principles. I hope I can call myself a Torah extremist because the Torah cannot be bad in any manifestation. This does not mean that I justify all actions of all observant Jews, but this is only because we sometimes fail to live up to our own standards. But the Torah itself, in its totality, is always good. And therefore, the more of it will be put into practice, the better. In good, you have to be an extremist.